I think it's the duty of every worker to support other workers, but how do you get to anywhere? I mean, I wasn't always the General Secretary of ASLEF, and I've worked in shops, and I've worked in building sites, and I've worked in precarious workplaces, and I've worked in those other organisations whereby it's all about 360 interviews, and people are scared to organise because it affects their ability to be assessed or whatever, and what do you do? And then I was quite lucky after a period of time wandering around Europe to fall into the rail industry, where I became a guard. I was an NUR rep before I was an ASLEF rep, became a driver. I fell into an industry where originally, unless you joined a union within 12 weeks or 16 weeks, they sacked you. Now, maybe I don't think I'm ever going to get that back. But what I did find out that when you had peer help and association, when the people around you educated you and gave you support, and on the 2 occasions I was sacked from my trade union duties, probably because I was too angry when I was younger, I wouldn't have been here today if it hadn't been for the people around me. And it was all about that socialisation process, about the people you met, the people that were willing to signpost you, assist you, support you, and put you in the right direction. And of course, then as you come through life, you know, my children have worked in precarious work. I remember once going to battle with the manager of Domino's who wouldn't pay my son what he owed him, and things like that. And of course, when you are a full-time representative or work either in the civil society or in the trade union movement, people come to you and say, what would you do about this, that and the other? And for years, I think we've been doing this informally. Most of us have friends that we've guided or pointed in the right direction. Most of us have got people that we support or sought to educate or give them a little nudge about, well, if you go here, they might tell you what you need to know. And to actually have an organisation then that does that, to actually have an organisation that can grow and grow. And ultimately, you know, the big fear in the trade union movement has always been, oh, they'll steal our members. Well, it's not about that, is it? It's about supporting workers, right, and probably getting them into the union they should be, or getting them into a union they can create, or an organisation that mutually supports each other, or where it should be. And workers shouldn't be afraid of other workers. And I'm probably the worst person to say that because I've got a union of 96% density, because I've only got train drivers. So that may sound hypocritical. But then this is about then, as Sarah said, giving something back. It's about helping organise something that gets people to where ultimately every trade union would like to be. To have that leverage, that sense of power, that self-empowerment that all workers should have. Which brings me nicely to the last 12 months. I've been dreaming, right, of coordinated action for the last 30 years. I've been dreaming about getting back to that density that we had when the TUC used to be on the telly all day when I was a kid and I never watched it. You know, back to that power that we had, whereby the influence of workers to impact upon governments, to impact upon employers, to impact upon legislation, and to redress much of what's gone wrong in the last 10, 15, 20 years. You know, we thought that when we got pro rata rights for part-time employees with pensions and holidays, that we'd gone in the right direction. So they created 0 hours contracts. They created then all those contracts where people were averaging and out in Usdorf 42 hours of work a week, but weren't guaranteed the right to go to work the next day and couldn't plan their lives. So-called flexible working, that isn't flexible working if you don't know that you can afford to go to work or you can afford to feed yourself. We need to get back to a time when there isn't 30 different categories of worker, where we all have the same rights, where we work, you know, from day one in a small operation, or we work in a mega operation in a manufacturing industry of tens of hundreds of thousands. We need to get back where we're not outsourcing everything. And if we are, the people that are outsourced have the same rates of pay and the same rights for employment that we have and we expect everywhere. So if Organise now can do that, if Organise now can bring that together and coalesce even small groups of people to come into bigger groups of people, become part of the wider movement, then we're going to be successful. And for everybody that we touch, because we've all got family, we've all got friends, we've all got people that we know that need organising. We've all got people that we know that need help and assistance. We've all got people in the industry in which we work in, or the sector that we work in, that need support and organisation. But also then, we've got to break down this barrier where trade unions are afraid to help other trade unions, where trade unions are afraid to help other workers. We talk about solidarity, we talk about unity. It's only recently, from the summer of solidarity to the winter of solidarity, that we've actually seen that coordination. And even now, we've only had one TUC day of solidarity. I'm looking forward to the next one, and the one after that, and the one after that. And I don't care what government's in power. I don't care if you support Tories, Labour, or whatever. We should have the same rights under any other government. And of course, as they attack our right to strike, under minimum safety levels and minimum service levels, we have to organise together to do that. But it has to start at grassroots. It doesn't always start with a group of general secretaries sitting in a room trying to change the world. because the only people that change the world are workers supporting workers. So quite simply, to everybody that's given their time, to everybody who's been assisted, and to everybody who's going to assist, I think this is a wonderful opportunity. And the reason that ASLEF are behind it is that we can bring that level of solidarity and unity back to the working class workers movement that we haven't seen for years. And if we do a little bit of that, I can retire happy. Thank you.
Thanks, Mick. Thanks for that. And the support from ASLEF is greatly appreciated.